Greetings and welcome to the inaugural edition of Stand-Up Comedy Sitting Down. My name is Brian, of course, and I have entitled this first episode, The History of the World as I Remember It. But because this is the first, should tell you a little bit about me. Favorite album is Steely Dan's Can't Buy a Thrill. I like M&M's. Favorite food is jambalaya. And comedy influences, which you'll of course come in handy later on, in no particular order: Monty Python, Steve Martin, Bugs Bunny. It's probably enough about me, probably more than you wanted to know, or less. The fact is, I'm doing this because I think that we all need to laugh more. There's so much unlaughable stuff going on in the world that any opportunity that we have to counterbalance that, we need to take advantage of. So hopefully you'll find something in this episode or subsequent episodes, something that will make you chuckle a little bit, or while you're being stressed out at work, smile, or I guess at the very least you'll find something disturbing enough that it will inspire you to go out and change the world in some good way. I am older now than I used to be. Not nearly as old as a lot of people want to make me out to be, but the fact is that in my time on Earth, I have experienced a lot of things. And so I feel an obligation to posterity to record these things. And most of them, I think, probably need interpreting, so I will gladly supply that as well. But history is hard. You know, we tend to only remember the good stuff, and the rest of it we either forget or we try to alter to make it more palatable. We have gone to great lengths, including such things as book burning or tearing down statues or outright lying about the past, just so we can cover up the parts that we are ashamed of. But we are told that if we forget the past, we are condemned to repeat it. And so I think it's probably in my best interest to relay these things, because I'm not sure that I want to repeat some of these things. Beginning with my ancestry, I come from the Scottish Highlands, the Clan Shaw, on the River Spey in Scotland, proud descendant of John Shaw of Tordorak. Family slogan is "By faith and by fortitude, we force no friend, we fear no foe." Our official skirts are blue and green plaid. So we have no fashion sense. We also, of course, enjoy eating haggis, that delicacy made of sheep, heart, liver, lungs mixed with onion, oatmeal, suet, wrapped in a sheep's stomach and boiled. Otherwise known as the beginnings of why we have hazmat today, because I don't know of any off-the-shelf product that can get rid of that smell within a day. And it takes a special emergency team after you've given the little missus a Dutch oven after a night out dining upon haggis. And of course, the ancestors spent an awful lot of time, quality time with sheep. Yet here I sit, a survivor of that lineage, although, of course, the Shaw portion of the family tree in my neighborhood here has no descendants to the throne. Now, one of my first photos is of me sitting on the porch of my grandmother's house in Raymond, Iowa, taking a bath in a tin tub of water. You don't believe that, do you? Well, here is the evidence. Now this is, I believe, the first photo of me sitting alone erect. Most of the other photos that I've seen have me being held by someone, and so here I am sitting by myself in this position. I have, of course, spent the greater part of my adult life trying to get off the internet the rest of the pictures of me sitting erect. But I believe this photo does speak well of my cleanliness habits. Obviously, I'm willing to bathe anytime, anywhere. It probably also does explain a little bit my random lack of modesty, because I'm sure if I saw a big enough puddle walking down the street, I would start to take my pants off. Or if you happen to invite me over to your home and you have a pond in the backyard or a large bird feeder, you probably would not want to give me access to the backyard. When younger also, our Friday nights were really, really exciting. We would a lot of times eat these little TV dinners, the little frozen dinners. They were pirate dinners, and they had like SpaghettiO things with little pirate weenies. And then, of course, we would go to the mall, ride the escalator up and down, and spend an inordinate amount of time looking at these 6X Husky pants at Sears. Gets you thinking, though, doesn't it, about little pirate weenies, why they would make a dinner of such things, where the origin of that even comes from. You think about pirates, as they were getting ready to rape and pillage. Of course, pirate would have would go out in the winter. Obviously, it's a little chilly, and the pirate, of course, one of their sayings is "shiver me timbers," which means their wood has suddenly shrunken and they're not in any position necessarily to rape, although pillaging is still on the table, I guess. But having the Woody become a tiny little pirate wiener also kind of made me leery, because that was about the same time that nutritionists were telling us you are what you eat. And so to this day I still kind of look for the antidote to the pirate TV dinners. Now, when I was probably 7 or 8, my aunt threw a birthday bash for one of my cousins. And so big old party with the little hats and the cake, and stabbed the donkey in the butt with a pin. But the game that we played that I remember most is one where we would be across from another player. And the object of the game was to make the other person laugh. The means by which you could make silly faces, crazy gestures, but the only words that you can actually say were "poor pussy meow." Because of course, you were describing yourself. The person trying to make the other person laugh was designated the pussy. The unfortunate thing is that my sense of humor developed much later in life. And so, when younger, I spent a lot of time being a pussy. Fortunately, years of therapy and the development of my sense of humor, I spend a lot less time being a pussy now than I used to. And of course, my physical development kind of outpaced my social and humorous development. And so it wasn't long before my parents discovered that I would be rubbing the wrong things in the wrong places at the wrong times, and it was about time to have that talk. Now, I'm pretty sure that my parents drew straws, and so I found myself sitting in front of my dad one day, and my dad grew up on a farm with horses and stuff, and so this was prior to the time when we could watch the movies in school and giggle about them and you know, actually figure things out. You know, pretty much relied on the mom and dad to tell us what was what. And so sitting there, Dad hems and haws, you know, we go through small talk, and he says, when we're driving out in the country, do you ever remember seeing two horses that look like they were wrestling? It's like, well, Dad, no, not really. Can't say that I remember any of that. Well, that of course threw him for a loop, because the rest of the speech was now going to be extemporaneous. So he thought again, how about, have you ever seen a couple of birds that looked like they were flying together? No, I never really paid much attention to that sort of thing, you know. Sorry. So this went on for what seemed like days, but I can only imagine it was probably 10, 15 more minutes before Dad ran out of analogies to come up with. And so, you know, the end result is, to this day, I remain childless. Obviously, I didn't learn what I needed to learn from Mom and Dad. You know, there's a lot going on that I don't think my parents knew about. So, anyway, to kind of fast forward and wrap things up for today, there was Watergate, there was College, Everclear, and Wild Turkey. There was something, work a little here and there, and here we are. Obviously, there's a lot more history that we could go over, but the important things to remember are, number one, Pluto is and always has been a planet. Although we relate it to a dog, it's not the dog star. Sirius was obviously named for the Harry Potter character. And, you know, the other things I'll just have to remember first. I left out some things that I did remember, insignificant things, politics, wars, natural disasters, Michael Jackson. None of those have anything to do with our personal histories, you know, as it really affects and develops our lives. So other than that, let me just conclude with the fact that you need to know Johnny Depp is not a real pirate. Although I'm pretty sure I know why Jerry Bruckheimer did cast him in that role. That's all for today. Thanks for joining in, and I look forward to talking to you again in future episodes.